So, greetings students. I'd like to welcome you back. And we are on Unit 6, Intro Book, page number 34. And so if you open your book and follow along, the subject today, the subject in this unit is we live in the suburbs. What is a suburb? One suburb, two or more suburbs. Okay, so what is a suburb? Can you say that with me first? Suburb, suburbs. Remember, when we add the S, we have to add an extra sound. It's extra work for you. And so, suburbs, suburbs. Say it with me. We live in the suburbs. Well, what's a suburb? Before we answer that question, let's look at the city map. You see the picture? It's called a city map. And we're looking from the top down, like we're in an airplane, and we're looking down on the city, and we see the streets, we see the buildings, we see the parks. And so let's read this together with me, all right? So kita look through vocabulary, city map, subway station, train station, houses, taxi stand, downtown, stores, don't forget the S, stores, apartments, don't forget the S, apartments, ferry terminal, bus station, school. You see up at the top, country, that's the countryside. But if you look down at the bottom, you see suburbs. And so in a big city, there's different parts to the city. And one part is called the suburb. And so look at your screen, and you're going to see a suburb, and you're going to see the definition and description of a suburb. Okay, you see that? Suburb. Let's break down the word. It's important to know the sounds of the letters. Okay? S, S, U, B, B. U-R makes the sound. Is the R sound. And B again. B. And we add the S. S. So we say it like this. S, B, B, S. Can you say it like that with me? Try it. S, B, B, S. Then we say it faster. Suburbs. Suburbs. And we say it normal, suburbs. The emphasis is on the first syllable, suburbs. Don't forget the S. Suburbs. A suburb is a suburban area. Okay, so suburb is actually short form for suburban. Suburb is a noun. Suburban is an adjective that tells what kind of the area in the city. A suburb is a part of a city, but mostly houses where people live. Perhaps some small businesses to serve the community. The suburb will also have schools and a police station. The suburb is a bit far away from downtown, okay? And so in the city we have downtown, and then we have the suburbs. We'll talk about that more in a few minutes. You see the pictures? The picture on the left, that's a suburb. Houses, street, grass, quiet. And so that's a suburb, lots of houses. If you see the picture in the middle, you see the tall buildings far away. That's downtown. That's the city. We call it downtown. And then you see the roofs of the house. That's the suburbs. And so you can see the roof, the houses, the trees, and then you see the city far away. And so the city where we have the tall buildings, we call that downtown. And the picture on the right that is what a suburb looks like. Lots of houses, lots of streets, and lots of trees. Usually lots of trees. All right, and so that's a suburb. Let's look at the next slide. And so in the United States, we have different names for places where people live. City, you know about, Tikrong. But we have what we call mega cities. Mega cities mega means big. And so big cities, big cities, like New York City, probably 12 million people. Los Angeles, California, probably 12 million people. And Chicago, Illinois, Dallas, Texas, Seattle, Washington. These are mega cities. They're really big. And then we have cities. And so cities are 25,000 people or more. Towns are smaller than cities. Villages are smaller than towns. And hamlet is smaller than a village. A hamlet only has a few houses. A village has a few hundred, or maybe 2, 3, or 4,000, and a town is a little bigger than that. And if you look on the right, you can see these are different parts of the city. We have downtown. Downtown is probably close to the business district. It's usually the center of the city. We have downtown, we have a business district, and we have residential area. A residential area, you see the word resident. A resident is a noun. It's the person who lives someplace. He's a resident. I'm a resident of Cambodia, of Siem Reap City. Okay, and my residence is the place where I live, and residential is the part of the city that I live in, and residential is mostly houses. And suburb is similar to residential area, but suburb could be a different city within a city. And so let's go back to Snapshot on page 34, and let's again practice your vocabulary, and then we're going to look at some pictures. So city map. Okay, you look at the bottom, so niitam lokru, suburbs. Suburbs. Don't forget the S. Suburbs. Houses. Train station. Subway station. Taxi stand. Downtown. Stores. Stores. You need the S. Stores. Apartments. Ferry terminal. Bus station. School. Country, or here in Cambodia we would say countryside. I live in the country. A country is different from the country. The country means chunabat. It means outside the city. A country means protemoy. Okay, so it's different. I live in the country. All right, and so let's look at slide 2 again. What is a suburb? And you say this after me, okay? What is a suburb? A suburb is a suburban area. It is part of a city, but mostly houses where people live. Perhaps some small businesses to serve the community. The suburb will also have schools and a police station. The suburb is a bit far away from downtown. Okay, and let's look at the slide again with the mega city, city, and town. Let's just practice these words, okay? So, mega city. mega cities. Cities, 25,000 or more people. Towns, put the S on it, towns. Village, hamlet. Downtown, business district, residential area, suburb. Notice, business, the S has the Z sound, biz. S has two sounds, S, Z. And so in this time, it has the Z sound, business district. Let's look at some pictures. Okay, so you see the picture of the beautiful city with the beautiful mountain in the back? That city is Seattle, Washington. And so look, you see downtown where all of the lights are. That's downtown. Some of it is also the business district. But you see far away, there's a few lights here, a few lights there. That is the residential area or the suburb. Remember, a suburb is actually a town within a city. Sometimes it's a city within a city. A city within a megacity. And to the right, you see that train? That's a train, but it's a subway. And so that kind of train goes underground. Sometimes it's on top of ground, but most of the time, a subway is a train that is under the ground, under the buildings, under the houses. And so you see the picture with the yellow cars. Those yellow cars are taxis. Taxis. Be sure and say everything. When I emphasize a word, you be sure and say that word after me, okay? Use your voice. It's a taxi stand. That's a taxi stand. You see all the yellow taxis are all lined up and they're waiting for customers at the taxi stand. And you see the next picture, the black and red, that's a bus. That place we call a bus stop. A bus stop is where the passenger waits to get on the bus to take them to where they want to go. And then the next picture on the right, that is a bus station. Okay, so a bus stop is where one bus stops from time to time. But a bus station is where there are many buses. Okay, can you say this after me? The first picture is a mega city. So say it after me. Seattle is a mega city. Okay. Subways, put the S on, subways are trains that run underground. That's how we say it. They run underground. So say it after me. Subways are trains that run underground. A taxi stand, there are many taxis. Say it like this. There are many taxis at the taxi stand. Say it clearly. There are many taxis at the taxi stand. The bus is at the bus stop, waiting for passengers. Passenger, now. Say it after me. The bus is at the bus stop, waiting for passengers. There are many buses at the bus station. There are many buses at the bus station. Okay, so let's look at the next picture. And this is there's the bus station, or it's actually the train station. You see the picture on the left, that's a train station. The picture on the right is a high school. The picture on the right of the building is a high school. And then the picture below that says CHS, that is, we call a high school gym. It's where they play basketball. It's where students play basketball, a high school gym. And the next picture is, we call it a football field. A football field where they play American football. American football is different from soccer. And so, say this after me. Train station, high school, basketball court, or we can say gymnasium, and football field. All right? Okay, so now I'm going to read one time, and then I'm going to read it slowly, and I want you to read it after me. We have 3 slides to practice your reading, describing different kinds of places in the United States, actually. So, I live in a mega city in the United States. The name of the city is Portland, and it's in the state of Oregon. Portland is the largest city in Oregon. Portland has a population of about 2 million people. Portland sits on the Columbia River. All right? Now you try to say it after me, all right? I live in a mega city in the United States. The name of the city is Portland, and it's in the state of Oregon. Portland is the largest city in Oregon. Portland has a population of about 2 million people. Portland sits on the Columbia River. Sits. Okay, let's say this again. You say it after me. I live in a mega city in the United States. The name of the city is Portland, and it's in the state of Oregon. It's in the state of Oregon. Portland is the largest city in Oregon. Portland has a population of about 2 million people. Portland sits on the Columbia River. Next slide. Portland is a busy city. We have a business district with stores and departments and government offices. We also have a commuter train, but we don't have a subway. There are lots of city businesses. There are lots of city buses and taxis. Okay, this time you say it after me. Portland is a busy city. We have a business district with stores and apartments and government offices. Don't forget the S on the end. Stores, apartments, government offices. We also have a commuter train, but we don't have a subway. There are lots of city buses and taxis. There are lots of city buses and taxis. There's some S's in that sentence. Lots, buses, taxes. Don't forget them. Let's say it one more time. Portland is a busy city. Portland is a busy city. We have a business district with stores and apartments and government offices. We also have a commuter train, but we don't have a subway. There are lots of city buses and taxis. Okay, next slide. I live in a suburb of Portland named Beaverton. Beaverton is actually a city itself, but it is a suburb of Portland, which is the mega city. We have stores and parks and schools in Beaverton. We also have bicycle paths for only bicycles to ride on. Okay, so you're going to say that after me. Liitam Lakru. I live in a suburb of Portland named Beaverton. Beaverton is actually a city itself, but it is a suburb of Portland, which is the mega city. We have stores and parks. Let's get the S in there. Stores and parks and schools in Beaverton. We also have bicycle paths for only bicycles to ride on. Bicycle paths. Bicycle paths. You see path, but when we make it plural, it sounds paths. Paths for only bicycles to ride on. Okay, so this is the first lesson in Snapshot. And this is an important lesson. A lot of good pronunciation, a lot of good vocabulary for you. I would like to ask you to go back and practice the vocabulary. Practice saying it the way that I say it, okay? Practice at least 2 or 3 times. I encourage you to practice at least 2 or 3 times, okay? So let's take a break and then we will go to the next lesson.